Is anyone saving Ukraine from Russia? Unless you've been stuck in the woods without any internet for the last few days, then you've probably heard what's going on right now with Ukraine and Russia. I'm currently writing this script on February 25th at 9 a.m. and exactly 1 hour prior to that time, BBC writes, "The sound of gunfire has echoed through Ukraine's capital, Kiev, as Russian tanks were filmed entering the city for the first time. Ukraine's Ministry of Defense called on those living in Kiev's northern outskirts, where the tanks were filmed, to make firebombs to neutralize the enemy. Overnight, the city was hit by blasts, with at least one block of flats damaged and several civilians injured. Russia has denied carrying out strikes. The unnamed source at Russia's defense ministry also said a plane shot down over Kiev was Ukrainian, Reuters news agency reports. Ukraine has said that the jet was Russian. As the second day of fighting began, Moscow, which is attacking from the east, north, and south, appeared to have Kiev firmly in its sights. Major Vitaly Klitschko said the enemy was trying to put Kiev on its knees. The capital city of this country is literally under attack right now, and the leaders of Ukraine are urging their own civilians to take up arms and fight back against the Russian troops. This is just pure insanity, guys. Currently, the citizens of Kiev and other major Ukrainian cities are having to take refuge in the metro centers because the Russians are launching airstrikes on them. These civilians are dying too. No one has any idea what the exact death toll is at this point, but it's in the hundreds for sure and rising very quickly. Also, the Russians are advancing fast. The fact that they're already pushing on Kiev could mean that they could overthrow the government in a matter of days or maybe even less. Now granted, even if the government was overthrown, this might not be the end of the fighting. The Ukrainian people are putting up a lot more of a fight than I think many analysts and potentially even Russia would have anticipated. If the Ukrainian people continue to treat these invaders with immense hostility, then even if Russia was able to capture Ukraine, they would have an extremely hard time implementing any type of government there without sending potentially 1 million more troops to help occupy it. Basically, even though it may not feel like it right now, the Ukrainian people have the power here. If they stand united and continue to fight back against these Russian forces, then it will be extremely hard for them to accomplish anything. But if they sit back and let them take their country, then Russia will assuredly get what they want. Now, something I want to stress though is that even if the Ukrainian people stood united together and continued to fight back through Russian occupation, the quality of life here would be truly horrible. Ukraine would quickly devolve into a full-on war state where it's just continuous fighting, not unlike some of the countries that we've seen in the Middle East. But this is just going down the rabbit hole where Ukraine doesn't receive any help from any other countries. What about NATO? Is NATO going to be sending in troops to help stop this Russian invasion? Well, short answer is probably not. During the build-up over the last few months, the leaders in NATO, like the United States and Britain, have come out and said that they would have Ukraine's back. Boris Johnson actually tweeted out on February 23rd, "I am appalled by the horrific events in Ukraine, and I have spoken to President Zelensky to discuss next steps. President Putin has chosen a path of bloodshed and destruction by launching this unprovoked attack on Ukraine. The UK and our allies will respond decisively." But what does that response mean? Is he talking about sending in troops? Supplying Ukraine with weapons and equipment? Sanctions? How far does this response actually go? Well, first, it's definitely starting with sanctions. The chief of staff for the UK said that they will be implementing overwhelming sanctions on Russia for this illegal act. Just yesterday, Joe Biden came out and said, "Today I'm authorizing additional strong sanctions and new limitations on what can be exported to Russia. This is going to impose severe costs on the Russian economy, both immediately and over time. We have purposely designed these sanctions to maximize the long-term impact on Russia and to minimize the impact on the United States and our allies. And I want to be clear, the United States is not doing this alone. For months, we've been building a coalition of partners representing well more than half of the global economy. 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy, as well as the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and many others to amplify the joint impact of our response. I just spoke with the G7 leaders this morning, and we are in full and total agreement. We will limit Russia's ability to do business in dollars, euros, pounds, and yen to be part of the global economy. We will limit their ability to do that. We're going to stunt the ability to finance and grow the Russian military. We're going to impose major, and we're going to impair their ability to compete in a high-tech 21st century economy. So this is all well and good, and these sanctions will make it very tough on Russia in the coming months and potentially even years, depending on how long they last. It's possible that over time, these heavy sanctions could cripple the Russian economy to a point where they are forced to pull out of Ukraine. The problem is, this is going to take a long time. It may take years before this could happen, if it does ever even come to that eventuality. Ukraine will have been long captured by that point and under Russian occupation for quite some time. How are these NATO countries going to stop Russia from doing what they're doing right now? Well, they most likely aren't going to be able to. I mean, they certainly could. All of the NATO countries could collectively gather their troops and equipment and send them into Ukraine, and if they did that, then they could probably expel Russia from Ukraine and save the country. However, as sad as it is to say, it's just not worth it for these countries. All of these Ukrainian allies understand that what is going on here is very wrong and they don't want it to happen. But at the end of the day, Ukraine is far more valuable to Putin than it is to these countries to save, especially when Putin is coming out and threatening serious retaliation if anyone intervenes. Putin said specifically in his speech, no matter who tries to stand in our way or all the more so create threats for our country and our people, they must know that Russia will respond immediately, and the consequences will be such as you have never seen in your entire history. That last sentence is the one that really sticks out to me there. Immediate consequences that will be unlike anything we've ever seen. This is, in most people's opinion, in reference to a serious nuclear attack on any nation that attempts to intervene. So here's the problem, guys. Ukraine has allies that want to help it, but Russia is telling those allies that if they do, then they will launch a full-scale attack on them that will most likely kill hundreds of thousands to maybe even millions of civilians. This is why Ukraine is sadly not going to be getting any help anytime soon. As much as they deserve support, other countries can't risk their own civilian lives by doing it. They also inherently understand that if nuclear weapons are unleashed, then we could very easily be entering into a full-on World War III scenario, which is something that absolutely nobody should want. Therefore, for right now anyways, Ukraine will not be receiving help in the form of soldiers or military assistance. Over the next few weeks though, we will see some serious sanctions be imposed on Russia, and it should definitely hurt their economy. It's also possible that some of these bigger countries will send some weapons to the Ukrainian people in an effort to give them something to defend themselves with. This is probably as far as the assistance will go, at least at the beginning. Everything is changing so fast with this situation, and it's likely that in a few days this video will be completely outdated with some other crazy developments. I think the most interesting thing to watch is how the Ukrainian people respond to this Russian invasion. If they continue to fight back and stand up for their independence, then even if Russia takes the country, which they undoubtedly will, they may never be able to implement their form of government. Either way, my heart goes out to the Ukrainian people who are having to go through literal hell right now to fight for their rights. Please comment down below what you guys think about this video and your thoughts on the entire matter. Also, please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Nicholas Playlog, and I'll catch you next time.